Hey everybody, Angie here. How are you guys doing? So we're gonna get started in a couple of minutes, and so you can just use this time to get settled, to get cozy and comfortable. Put on your pajama bottoms. I've got mine on, and yeah, grab a cup of hot tea and get comfortable, and we'll start in just a couple minutes. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoy this practice. Okay. everybody. Welcome. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. So just get yourself nice and comfortable, finding a place where you're not going to be disturbed if possible in the house. And yeah, put a sign on the door for your you time. And we'll get started in about 1 minute. Hey, welcome. Nice to have you. Thank you for joining me for this special class. You don't need any special props for this class. The idea behind, one of the ideas behind trauma-informed practice is that all you need is your body and your breath and a little bit of space. So the fewer things you need to depend on outside of that, the better. We depend upon ourselves and what we all have wherever we are, which is our body, our breath, and our awareness. So our class tonight will be a little bit shorter in this trauma-informed practice, about 40-45 minutes. The other thing that's really important with this practice is to hold space for yourself. So particularly since I'm here and you are at your home, the responsibility is up to you to hold space for yourself. Now, what does that mean? It means trying as much as possible to create an environment where you won't be interrupted so that you can fully feel safe to let go and experience in your session. So do what you can to minimize interruptions or loud noises that might be unexpected. That's what we do as yoga teachers when we're holding space for you. So do that for yourself. And it doesn't just apply to when we're on our yoga mat, it applies to our whole life, being able to hold space for ourselves in our whole life. Like, when do we need to do that? This is all part of the teaching and the learning that is surrounding the trauma-informed practice. So the main principle that differentiates this practice from a regular yoga class or a regular yoga practice is that we're not focused so much on performing the poses or achieving the poses. We're really much more concerned about feeling and observing and noticing what the different movements do for us. And so we keep everything very, very simple so that we have an opportunity to not overcomplicate things and just be really tuned into how things feel for us. So it's really about befriending our body, trusting our body, creating a healthy relationship and a going back and forth between our consciousness and our body. The movements with breath have another purpose of bringing us into the present moment, which is sometimes what happens with trauma is we get triggered into the past. But when we're being present with sensations and breath awareness and what we're doing with our body, it brings us into the moment. It also gives us a sense of mastery over being able to control the movements that we make, how big we want them to be, how small. That's all within our domain. That's all within our power to do that. The other thing that happens is it soothes our limbic system, which is our emotional brain, our fight or flight. It tends to have this sort of soothing effect on that part of us that can get hyper aroused through past traumas as well. So a few different things going on, but this practice is very simple. So I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable seat, and that can really be anything. So I'm sitting up on a blanket. You could be sitting in a chair. You could be sitting on the couch. I want you to feel comfortable. You might lean against a wall. And comfortable is a very subjective term as well. So find a seat that feels relatively easeful for you. And in this practice, you really have full reign, full control to do whatever you feel is best for you. So if something doesn't feel right, feel completely free to leave that out or do something different. This is really about how you feel and what you need and just tuning into that. So if it feels okay, I'll invite you to bring your right hand to your low belly and your left hand to the center of the chest. And just wherever you're sitting, however you're sitting, whatever that looks like, doesn't matter, sitting up and just having the hand on the belly and the heart. You're welcome to close your eyes if you want to, or keep them open if you prefer. And then just taking a moment to notice the feeling in the heart and in the belly. You might start to feel things like your heartbeat underneath your hand that's on the chest. And again, eyes can be closed or open. This is totally your practice. You get to choose. Just take a moment to notice if you can sense your heartbeat under your hand that's on your heart. And don't worry if there's no sensation there, that you don't feel it. That's okay too. You might notice your breath as you're naturally breathing. Become aware of if you're breathing through your nose or your mouth. Just observe. Again, there's no right or wrong, just observation of what is. And you could notice if your breath is deep or shallow, or maybe somewhere in between. Notice if your breath feels fast or slow, or somewhere in between. Good. And also notice, observe if you can see or feel if the breath is moving in the chest or the belly, or perhaps both. Just observe and notice what you can pick up there when you pay attention. And just remembering that everything is an invitation, not an obligation to perform or do anything that I say. It's merely a suggestion. Good. And whenever you're ready, you can gently release your hands to the knees or the thighs. And when it feels good, just go ahead and take a couple of shoulder shrugs. You could bring the shoulders up to the ears and roll them back and down. And just notice how that feels in your body. Notice how it feels in your shoulders and your back. You might take one or two more if that feels appropriate for you. And just noticing what sensations are created through that movement. Being observative. Is that a word? You know what I mean. Good. And again, making sure that you're sitting in a sustainable way. If you need to shift onto the couch or a chair, please feel free to do that. And I'll invite you to bring your hands together at your heart center, the palms gently touching. And just take a moment to notice the sensation between your hands, the skin touching skin. Notice the pressure of one hand touching the other. Notice that you can press the hands a little harder together and increase the pressure. And then you can also bring the hands almost apart and feel the pressure decreasing between the hands. And you have control of that. You can increase the pressure by pressing the hands more. And you can decrease the pressure by pulling the hands slightly apart and just feeling the gentle pressure of one hand and one set of fingers tips touching the other. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to open your hands when you inhale. When you finish inhaling, then as you exhale, begin to bring the hands back together. And you can make this movement as small as you want to. You might start off with the movement being small, inhaling as you open the hands and exhaling as you close the hands. See if you can match the length of your movement to the length of your breath. And you can have eyes open or closed here. Noticing the contact when the hands come back together. Breathing at whatever pace is comfortable for you. And I'll just invite you to notice how that feels. Where you feel it. You might choose to keep the movements small, or you could choose to make the movements bigger if you want to, inhaling as the hands come apart and exhaling as they close. Again, there's no right or wrong here. Just making the movements match the length of your breath, inhaling as they open and exhaling as they close. And you're just breathing at your own pace, your own rhythm is setting the pace for the movements. Notice that feels if you make the movements bigger, if you are doing that. Just observe how that feels in your body. And you can make those movements even bigger if you want to, or you could go back to making them smaller. Right? Just notice how it feels in your body. Observe what's there. And just be aware. If you like, you can take one more breath. Observing how it feels as you move your hands through space. And when you're finished, feel free to bring your hands back down to your knees and just notice how that feels again. Maybe taking a deep breath here if you feel to, and exhaling that breath out. Good. And whenever you're ready, gently tipping the chin down towards the chest. If you like, you can take an exhale breath here, breathing out through the nose or the mouth. Then as you inhale, you're welcome to bring the chin up just to wherever it's comfortable. It could be just a little bit or a little bit more, maybe starting small. And then as you exhale, letting the chin come back down towards the chest. And just feel free to take a couple of exploratory rounds of that, noticing how that feels in your neck, in your throat, in your shoulders. And you get to make the movement as small or as big as you want to. It could stay really small, or you could be starting to take it further if you feel that you want to do that. The world is your oyster in this practice. If you lose track of when to inhale, when to exhale, don't worry about that. Just breathe any way that feels natural. Remember, you can pause at any time or discontinue a movement or explore a different movement if you feel the urge to do that. Really, the world is your oyster here. But noticing the sensations that are created through whatever it is that you're doing, being fully aware and present of the control you have over those movements. You have the power to stop them, slow them down, speed them up, make them bigger, make them smaller. I pulled a muscle in the middle of my back a couple of days ago, and so I'm really noticing what my body wants to do and what the body does not want to do in response to that pulled muscle. So you might have something like that in your body too that you're listening to. Good. Whenever you're ready, just settling back to the center here, taking maybe another deep breath or two if you feel to. Big inhales and exhales. Notice how that feels to breathe a little deeper. You might be exhaling out the mouth if you want to. Feel free. And just being aware of how that feels. To breathe a little deeper. Good, nice. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to stretch your legs out in front. I'm going to shift back. You can stretch your legs out. So if you're sitting on a chair or the couch, you're welcome to come down on the floor. You might even still lean against the couch. I often suggest that for those of us with tight hamstrings. You could sit with your back against the couch or the wall here to be supported if you want to. You could put your hands beside you to support you if you wish. And then the invitation here is just to point the toes as we inhale and flex the feet as we exhale. So pulling the toes up towards the ceiling as we breathe out and pointing the toes as we breathe in. You're welcome to try that if you like and notice what happens. Notice how that feels in the feet. And really it doesn't matter if you inhale one, exhale the other. Just choose one breath for each movement with this one. Notice how it feels left versus right, if there's a difference from side to side. Notice what sensations or stretch might be created. It might be very subtle, but just observing what's there. If you feel to, you could even start to take your feet, your ankles in some circles if you want. Just letting yourself do what you feel to do here. Notice how that feels in the ankles and the feet. So moving the feet and the ankles around. So I said really simple movements, right? Really simple. We just want to keep it really simple so that we just have time to think about how it feels rather than focusing too hard on performing with proper alignment, all these complicated poses. So it's really just about being in the body and noticing. Change the direction of the circles if you want to. You're welcome to do that. Go around the other way. Notice how that feels in your feet, your ankles. If there's one side that feels tighter, just observe what's there. Oh, there's a little click and a crick that came out. Good. And then maybe pause when you're done and just notice the energy of the feet. Maybe you can feel some sensations in there. Maybe you don't feel any sensations, and that's okay too. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to bend the knees and walk the feet a little bit apart. You can lean back on the hands if you want to support. Taking the feet a little bit wide and then starting to, when you're ready, explore a little bit of side to side movement with the knees. And again, this could start as a small movement from left to right. Notice how that feels when you take that little bit of movement. How does it feel in the hips? How does it feel in the spine and the back? And you get to decide if you want to keep that movement just a little bit, or if you feel like you would like to go deeper, you're welcome to take the knees further over to the side if it feels like that's where you want to go. Notice how that feels in the body, just observing any sensations that are created through that movement. It's very exploratory and just being really sweet and gentle and noticing how that feels in your body. Maybe you feel it in the hips, maybe you feel it in the back or in the legs somewhere, maybe in the knee. You might just be keeping with a small movement, a little bit side to side. It doesn't have to be the big one. That's what I love about this practice. It takes away all the shouldas, shoulda, woulda, couldas, and the You must do it like this. That's all gone in this practice. It's just all about you and what are you experiencing here in this moment. If you like, you could add in synchronized breath with this. If you wanted to, you could exhale as the knees go to one side, and then inhale as they come to the center, and exhale as they go to the other side. And inhale as they come to center. Okay, you're welcome to do a couple more on each side if you like. And anytime you feel like just pausing and coming into stillness and feeling, you're so welcome to do that as well too. Like really let this be self-directed as much as you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the center and just take a moment just to take a breath or two here. Notice how that feels. Feel free to take a deeper inhale if you want to. Perhaps a cleansing exhale out the mouth if you like. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to come to a tabletop position. If that feels appropriate for your body, if for some reason, any reason at all, the wrists don't feel good in that position, you're welcome to bring the elbows down as a modification. If the knees are complaining, you can slide a blanket or a bolster or 2 blankets under the knees. If that's still not working for the knees, you can always come onto your back and hug the knees in here. So I'll invite you to do a couple of flexions and extensions of the spine here. So as you exhale, as you breathe out, go ahead and try rounding the back, dropping the chin down towards the throat and drawing the belly in and up. And then as you inhale, reverse that. Let the belly hang down, lift the head up, and roll the shoulders open away from the ears. Sometimes they call this the sway back cow, and then exhaling into a Halloween cat. Just taking your time. Go at your own pace. Notice how that feels in your spine. If you feel to, take a few rounds of that. Just being aware of how that feels in your neck, your shoulders, your back, your hips. And feel free to make any other little intuitive movements that go with that. So you might turn the neck and head a little side to side. There might be other things that happen like tail wagging or shifting your hips left to right. Just whatever your body wants to do here. Notice how it feels. You're welcome to do another 1 or 2 rounds if you like. Whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to sink the hips back towards the heels. If you like, you can take your knees slightly apart or keep them together. And then we're going to rest the forehead on the mat. You could, if you want to, rest your head on your hands or stretch your arms forward. Another option, if your forehead doesn't touch the ground, is to support the forehead with stacked fists is another option. Whatever you like here. Notice and observe how that position feels in your body. Just being aware of any sensations that are created. If you like, you're welcome to take a deep breath here. Maybe inhaling through the nose. Maybe exhaling through the mouth. As you like. You're welcome to return to this form or shape anytime you like, anytime if you want to take a rest or if it just feels nice to be there. When you're ready, I'll invite you to come back up to hands and knees and taking some movements through the hips, some hip circles. When you're ready, you could sink your hips a little towards the heels and then over to the right side and forward to the left side and back. And again, you can make this circle small. You might start small and notice how that feels, just like with a little bit of movement. If you like to synchronize your breath with the movement, you can exhale back, inhale forward, totally optional, of course. If you feel to make bigger circles, feel free to explore that and notice how that feels. If you're on your back, because the knees don't like to be on the mat like that, you can be exploring this one on your back, just making circles with your knees here that way. Sometimes some people can do knee circles on their back with the knees together, but if that doesn't feel good in your low back, then you can do the knees separate and just making circles, concentric circles around each other. Good. We're going to change direction of the circle whenever you're ready and go around the other way. Switching it up a little bit. And notice how that feels. Again, the circles could be small if you want to, or big, as you like. Notice how that feels in the shoulders, in the neck, in the hips. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to come up to standing. So one way you could do that is to walk your hands towards your knees, curl your toes under, lift your knees, and then start to lift your hips. You find your way into a forward bend and then bring hands to the hips. If you wish, you can look forward and inhale and come up. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you need to, coming all the way up to standing. Good. We're just standing with both feet flat on the floor. Take a moment here to just observe the, again, pressure in the soles of your feet. I'll invite you to shift your weight a little bit side to side and just notice where the center point is when you shift from left to right. Notice where it feels like the weight is evenly distributed in the middle. And then let yourself settle in there, right in the middle spot. And if you like, you can do the same thing forward and back, where you shift your weight slightly forward and you feel the weight more in the balls and the toes of the feet. And then maybe shifting weight slightly back and feel the weight shift into the heels a little. You're welcome to do that a couple of times, forward and back, and just observe the sensation in the soles of the feet as you move forward, as you move back. And then eventually settling in the middle, where you feel even front to back and side to side. Good. So it's very simple movement with breath. When you're ready, I'll invite you to inhale and raise your arms up. At the end of your inhale, begin to exhale and float your hands down. So you're exhaling as the arms float down. If you like, you can try that again. You'll inhale as you raise the arms up. You're welcome to raise the arms higher if you want to. And then as you exhale, let the hands float back down if you want. And just notice how that feels in your body. You can have eyes open or closed as you like. Take a couple more rounds if you feel to, and just notice the sensations that are created. It's totally up to you how high you want to raise your arms. Exhaling down, inhaling up. Maybe you just want to raise your arms a little bit. Maybe they don't want to go way up overhead, and then exhaling them down. So just feel free to explore there with your breath. A few more rounds. You can control how big the movement is, how fast or how slow the movement is. Feel free to explore with that a little bit. Maybe slowing it way down, or even trying speeding it up if you wish. So you're so welcome to stay just with the arms here. Or if you like, you're also welcome to add in a component here. So as you inhale and raise the arms, you'll raise your right knee, maybe just a little bit, maybe a lot. As you exhale, arms and foot go back down. It's a little trickier. Inhale, arms raise up, lift the left knee. And exhale, knee and arms go back down. Now, if that's too much to do arms and legs, just do one at a time. So if you feel to just really go simple, you inhale, raise the right knee, exhale, place the foot back down. Inhale, raise the left knee. So maybe just isolating the lower body and noticing the sensations that are created through the movement that you're making. Notice how it feels if you raise the foot just a little bit or a lot. Just observing, how does that feel in the backs or the hips? Or if you're doing arms, how does that feel in the shoulders? And if at any time your body wants to just stand and breathe, feel free to go that route of just taking a break. This practice is totally designed by you. You might be noticing also there might be one side that has better balance and one side that's a little more tricky. Just notice these things. They have no meaning or bearing of any kind. Just observe what's there. Beautiful. And when you're finished, I'll invite you to stand just for a moment. Notice how that feels physically in the body. If you like, you can take a nice deep breath here if you want to, taking a big inhale. You're welcome to exhale at the mouth. Notice how that breath feels. Okay, I think we'll do one more standing flow. So with the feet about hip distance apart, and really simple here. It's pajama yoga, so we're leaving all the spandex yoga in the dust right now. So you can bring hands to the hips if you want to for this one, and I'll also add in an arms option if you do want to do arms. So all I'm going to do is invite you to sit down a little bit in an imaginary chair and just check that your knees are about the same width as your ankles apart. And you're shifting the weight here a little bit into the heels. So the toes are just kind of lightly dancing there. So weight shifts back in the heels a little bit. And again, it doesn't have to be a super, super deep chair. It could be just a little bend in the knees. And then when you're ready, I'll invite you to inhale and stand up straight. Then exhale, sit down gently in your chair. And again, it could be just a little sit, could be a deep sit. It's up to you. And as you inhale, standing up, straightening the legs. Exhale, sitting down. Notice how it feels in the legs and the hips. Remember, the knees are the same width as ankles. Weight is in the heels and the balls. And go ahead, if you like, take a couple more rounds of that. Sitting as deep or shallow as you want to. Notice how each one feels when you sit down. You can rest at any time. If you want to make this a little more challenging or a little bit more excitable, you could inhale as you reach arms up and exhale as you sit down into your chair and let the arms come forward. Inhale as you stand up and reach up. So arms are optional. You get to control how deep you sit. Notice how it feels, the movement in the legs. The movement in the arms if you're using arms too. You can control the speed. Feel free to play with going slower or faster if you wish. And just notice how that feels. Good. If you want to, I'll invite you to hold the chair pose for 4 counts. 3, 2, and 1. Keep breathing, of course, and then when you're ready, you can release, standing all the way up and releasing hands down. Keep breathing. I invite you to take a moment here. Notice how that feels in your body. If you like, you can take a cleansing breath. Feel free to inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to join me for one inhale, maybe reaching arms up or bringing hands to the heart. And then as you exhale, forward fold, bending over the legs. And we're just gently going to come down to standing. You can, or to kneeling. You can walk yourself down and come to sitting. Let's come to laying on our backs, actually. So however you want to, I'll invite you to come down to the floor and find the floor with your back any way that's comfortable there. You're welcome to keep your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. And whenever you're ready, you're welcome to bring your right knee in and just give it a gentle hug towards the right shoulder here. If you like, you can join me for some movement with breath here. So as you inhale, feel free to straighten the right leg up with the toes flexed. And as you exhale, feel free to hug the right knee in towards the right shoulder, giving it a little squeeze as you inhale, stretching the leg up. And as you exhale, hugging the knee in. And again, notice how it feels in your body. You're welcome to go faster or slower as you like. Observing any sensations that are created through that movement, maybe noticing how it feels in the knee, in the hip, and the low back. And you're welcome to take one more round on the side if you wish. And then whenever you're ready, you can release and change sides. I'll invite you to try the other side. Hug the left knee in if you want to. Give it a little squeeze. And you're welcome to take some flow here. If you like, you can inhale and straighten the left leg up, flexing the foot. Exhale as you hug the knee in. And just notice how that feels on this side. Does it feel the same as the other side? Just continuing. You get to control how fast or how slow you're moving, how fast or how slow you're breathing. And just notice the effects of that little movement with breath. Any sensations that are created in the body through that little practice. And feel free to take a couple of more rounds on this side as you feel, noticing how it feels in the body, in the low back, in the hip, in the leg, in the knee, in the hamstrings. All right. And then whenever you're ready, feel free to release your foot back down to the mat. I'll invite you to take your feet as wide as your mat. So maybe you feel the outer edges of your mat with your feet. You're welcome to take your arms out to the sides, like in a T shape, or in any position that feels good for your arms, really. And whenever you're ready, you're more than welcome to begin a little gentle windshield wiper movement. The knees move a little to the left and then a little to the right. And you might start with this as being a really small movement, side to side. And you're welcome to explore moving a little deeper if you feel to on each side and noticing how that feels. Observe how that feels in your low back. Just pay attention to any of the sensations that are created through that movement. And it can be as small or as big, as fast or as slow as you want to make it. You're welcome to synchronize or add breath to that. You might be exhaling as you move the knees to the side, and inhaling as they come to center, and exhaling to the other side, if you like. Just an option. You're welcome to exhale out the mouth if you want to. Inhale through the nose. And whenever you're ready, I'll invite you to let the knees float over to the left side if you want. And I'll invite you to join me for one honeybee sound, which is a humming noise that we use to release stress on a cellular level. So just making sure the top and bottom teeth have a little space. This is totally optional. You can opt out of the honeybee sound if you want to. It's just a long hum that we make with the teeth slightly apart. So if you like to try that with me, feel free. We'll just take a big inhale breath here and a long hum. And just observe the effects of that honeybee. Notice how that feels. Anytime you're ready, you're welcome to bring the knees back to center. No rush, just in your own timing. When you're ready, lowering the knees over to the right side. And you're welcome to join me for another honeybee on this side. I'll invite you to really notice after the honeybee, the feeling, the effect, physically, mentally, and any other way that if there's anything to be observed there. Just take a moment and notice if you want to. So teeth apart, honeybee on this side, totally optional. If you want to join me, take a big breath in, fill the lungs. Whenever you're ready, gently guide your way back to the center. And you're welcome to take a Shavasana, a relaxation pose here, position or form or shape. So it may not be on your back. That's one option, is to lay on your back with pillows or blankets or bolsters under your knees, maybe a blanket on top, but that's not the only way. If you wanted to be on your side with a pillow under your head, you're welcome to do Shavasana that way. You're welcome to do Shavasana laying on your belly with your head on your hands. You might even decide to do your final relaxation seated if that makes you, if you wish. So it's really, really however you feel that you want to be positioned. And I'm going to guide us through a short guided relaxation. So just take a moment to settle in, get as comfortable as you need with whatever props you want to have, whether you're laying on your back or your side or your belly or you're sitting. And you're welcome to keep your eyes open or closed. It's totally up to you. And we'll take a little tour through the body. As I say each body part, I invite you to invite that body part to soften. So we'll move through the body part by part. We'll start over in the right hand. And you can, if you like, feel that your left hand thumb is attached to your body, and you can feel your left hand thumb soften. Then your forefinger, your middle finger, your ring finger, your pinky finger, the palm of your right hand, the back of your right hand, your right wrist, your forearm, your elbow. Feel your upper arm, maybe it softens, your right shoulder, right ribs, right waist, right hip, the front of your right thigh, back of your right thigh, right knee, shin, calf, ankle, top of the right foot, sole of the right foot, the big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. And welcome to bring your attention to your left hand and invite your left hand thumb to soften, your forefinger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, palm of the left hand, back of the left hand, left wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, left shoulder, left ribs, waist, hip, thigh, knee, shin, calf, ankle, top of the left foot, sole of the left foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Become aware of your breath. If you like, just resting your attention on your breath for a moment. Feel free to allow the breath to flow as you observe the inhale and the exhale, just naturally flowing through your body. So you're more than welcome to rest here longer as you need to. If you'd like to come back up to seated, if you're feeling to come back up, you can begin to, I'll invite you to gently wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Whenever you're ready, take a little stretch if you like. Do what you need to do here. Maybe that means stay resting longer. Maybe that means coming back up. If you're coming back to seated, use helping hands and just gently guide your way up with helping hands. And if you like, I'll invite you to bring your hand to your heart and your hand to your belly. And feel free to take a moment here just to notice the beat of your heart, maybe is there, maybe feeling your breath in your body, either in the chest or the belly or both. Just take a moment to notice and be aware. May all beings be peaceful, happy, and free. Thank you for joining me for this little mini session. I hope you have a beautiful evening. And if anyone has any feedback, comments, suggestions, I love to hear about your experiences around that practice, how it was different for you from a regular yoga practice. Anything at all, feel free to reach out to me. I love having those conversations, so please feel free to connect. And my love goes out to you. May you be well. May you be happy. Have a beautiful evening. Sweet dreams.